Hi, I'm Cassandra B, and this is Contemplations with me. I am frustrated, angry, disappointed. I just read a post from a beautiful woman who was trying on a dress for her sister's wedding. And what should have been a moment of excitement, celebration, look at me and look at this dress, I'm going to my sister's wedding, became an opportunity for strangers to tell her something they believed was wrong with her. She wasn't wearing the right bra. Her hair wasn't done. She was too big. She was too fat. She was too ugly. She wasn't bombshell enough. And apparently, according to these strangers hiding behind the screen, she would somehow be an embarrassment if she showed up to her own sister's wedding in the body that she's currently in. So I have to ask, who the hell decided that? Who decided what beauty looks like? Who decided what a bombshell looked like? Who decided that perfection comes in a size 0? Because let's be honest, 0 doesn't actually exist. Somehow along the way, we've allowed the world to convince us that the value of being human could be measured by a number on the scale, by a number on a clothing tag, by the smoothness of our skin, by the perkiness of our breasts, by the size of our ass, by whether our stomach is flat, how many wrinkles we have, how much gray or silver we allow to show. And women, especially, have been given a never-ending list of the instructions on how we are supposed to exist. You're too big, you're too small, you're too old, you're trying too hard, you're not trying hard enough. You wear too much makeup. You should put some makeup on. Color your hair. Don't color your hair. You're too plastic. You're not polished enough. Stay home and raise your children. Get a career. Don't depend on your husband. Why are you working when you have children? Be sexy. Oh, but not too sexy. Be confident. But don't be intimidating. Age gracefully. But for God's sakes, don't actually look like you're aging. And at some point, I just want to stand in the middle of all this noise and ask, who made these rules? And more importantly, why are we still following them? Why are we still following them? Because if you were to look throughout history, the definition of a perfect woman has changed again and again and again. Because if you look throughout this times, there were times when birthing hips were considered beautiful. Times when curves presented wealth, health, and fertility. Times when the hourglass figure was the ideal. And then suddenly, thin was in. Then athletic was in. Then big breasts. Then small breasts. Then a big ass. Then no ass. And now we have filters, injections, surgeries, supplements, shapewear, and an entire industry built around cultivating us, that the body we woke up this morning is somehow unacceptable. Do you see the insanity of it? The target keeps moving, and somehow we keep believing that if we could just change one more thing, then we would maybe finally arrive. Maybe we would be beautiful enough. Maybe then people would approve. Maybe then we could relax. But what if the problem was never your body? What if the problem is the belief that there was supposed to be one right way to be human? Because I look at human beings the same way I look at snowflakes. You can put 2 snowflakes beside each other. One may be bigger, one may be smaller. You have completely 2 different patterns. You may even prefer to look at one over the other, but that doesn't make one better. And it certainly doesn't make the other worthless. They are snowflakes. They are both extraordinary in their own design. And so are we. The body is not failed attempt at becoming somebody else's body. Your face is not a mistake because it doesn't look like hers. Your wrinkles are not a moral failure. Your cellulite is not a character flaw. Your soft belly is not proof that you have somehow failed being a woman. Your silver hair is not an apology that you owe to your youth. Your body is simply where your body is in its moment. It carries your story. The food you have eaten, the babies you have carried, the grief you survived, the illnesses, the celebrations, the stress, the laughter, the hormones, the years, the healing, the living. And yet somebody can see one photograph of you online and suddenly they believe they have the right to pass judgment on your entire existence. And that is the part that I find so deeply disappointing. We all have mirrors, trust me. Most of us already know what our bodies look like. Most of us have spent enough of our lives on our own judgments of ourselves. We don't need strangers volunteering to become a voice of our insecurities that we are already carrying with us. And yet, behind every screen, people say things that they would never have the courage to say standing face to face with another human being. They become keyboard warriors, and sometimes they choose cruelty because they just simply can. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because you have the ability to say something that doesn't mean you have the right to wound somebody with it. And here's what I really want us to contemplate today. What makes us believe that another person's body is our business? What makes us believe that our preference is a universal standard for beauty? What makes us believe because we choose to look different, someone else should be ashamed of how they look? Perhaps the deepest question of all is, what are we trying to heal in ourselves when we feel the need to tear somebody else apart? Because cruelty rarely begins with confidence. Sometimes the loudest judgment of another person's body is simply someone else's pain looking for somewhere to go. But that pain does not belong to another woman's shoulders. Not today, not at 30, not at 50, not at 80, not ever. So today, I want to invite you into a different kind of contemplation. The next time you look in the mirror, instead of immediately searching for what is wrong, pause. Take a nice deep breath and just pause for a moment and ask yourself, who taught me to look at myself this way? Who taught me to look at me and look at wrinkles as a problem? Who taught me that softness is something to hide? Who taught me that aging was something I should be apologizing for? Who taught me that beauty had an expiration date? And ask yourself, do you still want to believe them? Because maybe self-love isn't about waking up every morning and believing that you are perfect. Maybe it's about understanding that you were never meant to be. You were meant to be human. And human beings come in the extraordinary variety of shapes, sizes, colors, ages, textures, abilities, expressions.
Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Hotline.
The prettiest snowflake. You don't have to be the smallest. You don't have to be the youngest. You don't have to look like Barbie. You don't have to fit into somebody else's idea of a bombshell. You get to be the woman, the man that you are living in the body you are living in. At the age you are, with the hair you have or don't have, with the wrinkles, the softness, the scars, the stretch marks, the silver, the stories. And maybe, just maybe, instead of spending another moment trying to become acceptable to the people who have appointed themselves as judges of other human beings, We are done with we have decided that we are done auditioning. We are done trying to earn the right to take up space. Done believing that beauty belongs to one body type. Done shrinking, hiding, covering, correcting, and apologizing for being just human. Because your body is not the most interesting thing about you, and neither is hers. And perhaps if we spent less time scrutinizing over the packaging and more time getting to know the person inside, we might actually remember what beauty really is. Not perfection, not symmetry, not the number on your tag of your shirt, not whether someone looks good enough for a magazine, but the absolute unrepeatable miracle of being human being who has lived. So that it is my contemplation for today. Before you judge another woman or man, pause. Before you comment on her body or his body, pause. Before you decide he or she isn't beautiful because she doesn't fit in that definition, pause. And remember, you are looking at somebody's whole life through one tiny little peephole of a window. You don't know what that body has survived. You don't know what it has created. You don't know what it has carried, and you certainly don't get to decide its worth. Maybe it's time we stop asking women and men to become perfect and start allowing them to simply become themselves. Because that, to me, is far more beautiful than perfection ever could be. And maybe that's the real question. If nobody ever told you there was something wrong with your body, what would you have believed about yourself instead? So take a little pause today to think about, what would you have believed if nobody told you differently? What would you have believed about yourself while standing in the front of that mirror if you had been told all of the beauty and wonder and greatness and the extraordinary aspect of just being human really is? Beauty is on the inside. This human skin is just what transitions us through all of it. Maybe we only need to get out of our own ways, out of our own minds, and out of our own patterning of what we've been told to see the beauty of what is really before us. Anyway, just have a little contemplation today about, really, if nobody has ever told you what was wrong with you, what could you, what should you, what would you believed about yourself? Anyway, this is Contemplations with me, Cassandra B. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow.